My name's Judy. I'm one of the registered nurses from Tresillian Family Care Centres. Before I get into the presentation, just to give you a quick little brief about what Tresillian does, we're one of Australia's largest parenting organisations. We've been around for since the 20s. We provide parenting support. We're sort of known as the sleep and settling specialists. We have a parent helpline. We also have a live chat service, that's what I work on, which operates of evenings. We have our 3 main centres in Sydney, which is based at Canterbury, Willoughby and Penrith, where you can access that for practical support, be it just for the day, or we have a 5-day, 4-night program. It's Medicare funded. The residential, there is a boarders fee, but pretty much all of our services are free. So it's a wonderful service that the health department has provided for many years for families, and actually quite unique globally. So we're very lucky here in Sydney to have it. So here I am. I'm going to talk about sleep and settling. Now, I don't know if you guys might have heard of this term responsive settling. It's sort of like a new word that at Tresillian we use as a method of a behavioural method to support independent sleep in your child. Some of you might have heard, and it's still bandied around a bit, the cry it out method or control crying. They're very outdated methods that Tresillian do not use. They're too stressful for parents. They're shown to they cause a lot of distress for babies, very hard for parents. Okay, so sleep basics are, and if there's any message I want you guys to take home today, it's that sleep is a learnt skill. You might have a baby, like you have gifted children, you might have a gifted sleeper, but the majority of them, sleep is a learnt skill. And from my experience working with families over many years, my goal for you to help your baby learn to develop good sleep would be 12 months. It can even, you could get it 6, but I would say give yourself about a bar of 12 months. So at the end of your baby's first year of life, hopefully they'll be sleeping well. But it's a skill, like all skills, you got to practice. Every time you put your baby to sleep from the time they're born is an opportunity to practice this. Sometimes it'll work, other times it won't, but it's just stepping stones. I liken it to driving a car. I've had my kids learning to drive a car. They give them 12 months to learn that skill. Teaching our babies to sleep is no different. Under the first 3 months in particular is a time where we don't worry about routines anymore. If you've got to hold your baby, if they're unsettled, you're not going to make a rod for your back or spoil your baby. Developmentally, a baby is incapable for a routine under 3 months of age. Just go with the flow. Certainly you can put things in place to help facilitate that, but don't be distressed if it's not working. It's normal. So from 4 to 6 months is usually developmentally a good time where a baby's able to process structure and a routine around their meals and their sleeps. Okay, how much sleep do babies need? I find that this is really crazy, some of the times that parents give me. Like I'll have some parents think that like 16, 18 hours in 24 is how much a newborn baby needs to sleep. As with all things with children, there's a range of ages, which is normal. Some babies might only sleep 9 hours in 24, which is really hard. And I think I heard Prince William was saying like little Princess Charlotte was up all night. That's really hard if your baby decides to sleep a lot of those 9 hours in the day and is up the rest of the night awake. But they can sleep as little as 9. Some babies can sleep as much as like 15 or 16. As a mean, we've got 13 to 14, but I actually would even say 12 to 14 is more a normal mean. As the baby grows, what actually is quite interesting is that if you think of 12 hours after 1 month of age, that stays pretty constant for a child's total sleep needs in 24 hours, pretty much up until early primary years. That doesn't change. The thing that changes is that as they grow, they learn to stay up longer in the day and sleep more at night. So their total sleep doesn't change, it's just the periods when they sleep changes. So as your baby grows, you'll notice that they'll drop from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 nap in the day, and generally by the time of 3 years of age, between their second and third birthday, they may give up that nap, and then they're awake all day, and then they sleep all through the night. Why do babies cry? Oh, well, I suppose they cry for lots of reasons. They got up there that it's communicating. But usually crying is a very potent sign. You guys might learn a little bit about cues, infant cues. That's a bit of a new lingo out there describing how children behave and communicate to us. So there's different cues. There's engagement cues. So that's all our non-verbal language. Babies don't start talking till they're between about, say, 12 months onwards. So they're letting us know what they need by their non-verbal behaviour. So like all you guys are looking at me presenting, if you turned your head from me and were looking in the other direction, it's pretty much telling me I'm doing a bad job, that you're not really engaged. Same with babies. They have different ways they let you know they're engaged. Crying is a very potent disengagement cue. They're letting you know something's not right. And that's where, as time passes, you get to know with your baby what that actually means. So they've written typical crying patterns start at 2 weeks, peak at 2 months, and decrease by 4 to 5 months. Generally, I think why they put this slide up for is under 3 months in particular, babies go through a developmental stage of long periods of crying and unsettledness. And that's the hardest thing to adjust to when you're a new parent, because that's 24/7. You don't get a break. And it's really hard if that's in the middle of the night. It's hard if you're on your own and your partner's at work. It's hard if you don't have family around you to give you a break, because you're just sleep deprived. And when you don't have that physical energy, you're not going to be able to cope as well as when you're energized and that type of stuff. So I just want to let you know too that crying is normal. You can do your best to try to stop your baby from crying, but sometimes you just got to ride the wave when they're little. Certainly access health professional support like myself. We've got our parent helpline, the live chat that I work on, and we can reassure you and let you know if the crying could be something more suspicious to see your doctor about. But a lot of times crying in newborn is quite normal. We actually say between one feed, so that's between a 4 to 6 hour period, every 24 hours, day or night, they can cry. So it's one of the hardest things. We get asked a lot of questions about crying. Sleep cycles, average sleep cycle is between 30 to 50 minutes in a child. That's where they go from light to deep sleep. We talk about that a little bit as ways to encourage sleep. A day nap, we like ideally 2 sleep cycles. These babies who sleep through the night are able to go from light to deep cycle, like just go bang straight through all the time without waking up. A lot of children wake up overnight because they haven't learnt the skill to self-settle. So they're waking up when they get into a light sleep cycle. Tired signs. These are all on our website. Sometimes looking at tired signs in your baby gives you a cue as to when to put them to sleep. We talk now about a feed, play and sleep routine as a pattern of care to support good sleeping behaviours. So that's just sort of like a little list of tired cues. Definitely if your baby's yawning and rubbing their eyes, that's later tired cues. So ideally what we're trying to get is to look at earlier cues, which can sometimes be a baby's really calm and then all of a sudden their movements start getting jerky. They were focused on something and then they just start looking in another direction, staring. They're earlier tired cues. If you can nab that in, if you can put your baby down, then you'll probably find they're easier to settle. Wrapping is a good technique to use for a newborn baby. Babies are born with these survival reflexes which get them through the first few months of life, where the rooting and sucking reflex are very important for breastfeeding. The startle reflex is a major reflex which we look at, which determines that a baby neurologically is sound. That reflex starts to disappear from 4 to 6 months, but the downer of that is because we're telling you now to put your baby on their back to sleep for SIDS Safe Sleep guidelines, that when you pop them on their back, it elicits that reflex, and that can interfere with their sleep. So that's where wrapping contains their movements and can facilitate their sleep if you're having issues with your baby going to sleep. I'm sure you'll walk around here, they've got about a zillion little sleep swaddle suits for babies that come out of a wrap or wraps, and so there's lots of products available to help you pop a baby in that sort of position. Techniques for settling. All of these techniques are on our website. We've just termed them these words now just to sort of have consistency with when you read literature about things. Soothing in arms. That's the main way to soothe a brand new baby. So we're saying under 3 months, where I said before, they're the ones that will have these developmental phases where they have these long periods of crying. My main point is you are not going to spoil your baby if you have to hold your baby to sleep. So please, I want to get that message across, because so many people have high expectations where they're wanting to put these newborn babies in a routine, and it's just totally unrealistic. Certainly, if you can try a feed, play, sleep routine, trying to pop your baby down awake and calm as much as possible will help develop good sleep habits, but sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you may have to hold your baby for a couple of hours. And that's nothing wrong with doing that if you can just get a period of rest. That's where your partner can do that, where you can lie down and have a rest. I'm talking to the guys here. That's how you can help your wives. So they can lie and have a little rest while, because you can hold the baby, and that's really good daddy-baby bonding time. We talk about patting, rocking, stroking, singing, all of that lovely. It's instinctive, a lot of this stuff, and so that's what little babies like. Hands-on settling is just a follow-on from that, where you're actually just doing it in the bassinet or the cot. So it's no different. You're doing the patting, the rocking. They've got the gentle shush sounds. That's sort of like when you do the shush, just make sure it's a loud shush. Don't go like shh, 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 really loud. Sometimes I do it louder than the cry. Makes me feel calmer when I'm trying to get these babies to go to sleep. But they really respond to that. And if you do these things all the time, from when your baby's born, every sleep opportunity, and they're going to be getting at least, say, 6 to 8 opportunities to sleep in the day, think of all that practice. Times it by a year, times it by 365 days a year. That's heaps. So you're putting your baby down, you're using your voice, because the goal at the end of the year is just to use your voice to calm your baby. So when mum or dad go, shh, they go, oh, time to sleep, and down. And it works. I can give you confidence it does work. But it's a bit of a journey to that point. Patting, rocking. What we haven't said, what I tend to do too is pat the mattress or cot is good as a way of separating, like if they're needing a lot of hands-on support. That's more for an older child. Comfort settling. So that's a progress from hands-on settling. Comfort settling is when we talk more about self-settling. So under 6 months, we actually say give your baby lots of support to help them soothe to sleep. From 6 months, when they're a little bit older, you can pop them down and you can actually leave the room and listen to their distress. And this is different to controlled crying. Controlled crying and crying it out is where you're timing. Responsive settling is you're leaving your baby, but you're listening and you're responding to when they're letting you know, I'm not coping. And you go in then and help them with the same shushing, patting, rocking to calm, and then you leave and go in and out doing that. So it's individual, and you'll get to know as your baby grows, you'll get to know a cry of like, I'm tired, a whinge cry, which means sometimes leave me be. I just want time to calm on my own. Just think when we're stressed. You don't want people hugging you when you just think, get out of my face. I just want to be left alone for a minute to calm down. Compared to, no, I'm really sad, give me a hug, I'm not coping, I'm feeling really down. So that's sort of what comfort settling is. Now, that's easier said than done, because for many parents I work with, this is a hard step, because we're all different. And I'm a bit of a toughie because I've been in this job for a long time. But I know that when I had my own kids, because when you're tired and all of that sort of stuff and it's your baby crying, a lot of parents find it very hard to hear their baby cry. And I understand that, and we don't want them to cry and get too distressed. So sometimes some parents can find this step a bit hard to do, but just take small steps and practice. Oh, crying gets too much. I think the main thing with that is that your baby won't get hurt by crying. Crying's not going to harm your baby. If sometimes, and trust me, you may not think you'll be there, but you may get to that point. When you're so stressed and exhausted with a crying baby that you feel like you could maybe, and some people might do, shake their baby or hit their baby, like smack their baby a little bit firmer than what they want to, and that's a normal part of being a parent. If you feel that way, put your baby in a safe spot and you walk away. You can control how you feel. You can't control the baby when they're crying like that. You walk away, give your partner a ring, give us a ring, go out in the sun, take a few minutes to collect yourselves and go back in and try again. And parental presence, that's a method for parents that can't really leave their baby, that are finding it a bit hard when they're really distressed to leave the room and listen to their protests. So this is where you can actually, and parental presence you can use from 6 months until they're like 5. If you find you can't leave them and like gently practice them self-settling. That's where you just stay next to the baby. You pull up a chair next to the cot. The baby sees you there. A lot of babies after, say, about 6 months onwards can get quite clingy. That's the normal part of their emotional development. So they might just scream and want to hold you when you go, and sometimes parents find that hard to do, to leave them. So you can sit next to the bed, reassuring them, just letting them know that you're there, but you're trying to support them to go to sleep. So they sort of say you can, it's really funny when you look at YouTube, parents creep and crawl in under like commando style to sort of put a hand on the cot, then crawl out. Or you might just sort of sit there, shut your eyes, pretend you're asleep, that sort of stuff. So there's lots of techniques to try. But like I said, these are all on our website. And if you wanted to, they're just saying continue that for a week. And what they're saying with that is then if you want to do that, then you go to the comfort settling. So as you're practice being with them, you don't want to be with them like months on end. You want to, or weeks. This is like a circuit breaker for a week, just to get them used to being on their own a little bit in the cot, and then you pull out and you walk out after that. And you go back to the comfort settling, which is just going in and out, listening to their protests. And that's our numbers. All you got to do is just Google Tresillian. It's just got 2 L's. Our website's really good. We've got the parent helpline and we've got the live chat. And we've also got those other services that I said if you do feel you ever need practical support. Thank you.